Peace family. So I'm back with another one. So today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about the enemy always has to evoke an emotional response out of you. They always have to evoke an emotional response out of you. And I say that to say, like, the reason they have to evoke an emotional response out of you, one is because it gives them some sort of sense of control, right? And then for two, it throws you off balance, either spiritually or physically, you know what I mean? And they usually go hand in hand. And what's bringing me to this space in this topic today, right, is that I keep coming across individuals throughout my lifespan who loves to say that you're looking for a reason. You're always picking and prying and looking for a reason, right? I'm gonna give you an example as into why these enemies, the opposition, uses these tactics. So recently, I stopped by somebody's house, was engaging with them, blah, blah, blah. We was outside just kind of chopping it up. And when I pulled up, I had a lot of energy. I pulled up with a lot of energy. I was doing a lot of talking. I dropped a couple of my ideas out there that I want to start working on. I dropped some stuff down on the table that I have been doing as far as like just productive wise past recently, you know, and I also was discussing some other things as far as like noticing my energy and pointing things out when it starts twisting and turning or being affected by outside forces, or I feel like I'm putting some kind of pressure on the outside force around me. So I was just kind of diving in. I had a lot of energy. It was crazy because it was like 20-30 minutes of me talking and giving this energy. And then I guess when I was out of my spew of giving energy and talking, that I was kind of looking for some reciprocation back. And there was no reciprocation back. You know, nobody had, it was no discussion of what they had been doing when I wasn't in their space, because clearly I don't live in your space, you know. So if you working and doing things, you would have stuff to talk about and to discuss. But instead, these entities like to look for reasonings to not stay on a productive path. They're looking for reasons to stay in an unhealthy lane. They're looking for reasons to say, hey, it's okay if I ride with the opposition. Like, it's okay. They're looking for excuses and reasonings. And to them, it almost feels like they have to dig these. I don't want to give them that excuse. Scratch that. My spirit always have this thing of giving people overly excessive chances or overly empathizing on a healthy manner with a demonic entity. This shit is crazy. Like, I'm always trying to be that one that's like, oh yeah, well, we're not different, we're all this. But when I start diving, my spirit doesn't allow me to do that because it knows that some witchy shit is going on out here. So if you engage with people, right, and they know your flow, say you've been engaging with somebody for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. If you're engaging with somebody, you kind of learn their routine a little bit, either intentionally or unintentionally. You know, you kind of figure out when they're at work, what they're doing in the in-between time, or they go to the gym or outside, their walks, their runs. You kind of figure out their flow. That's just how it naturally happens. But when you're dealing with the witches, their fruits is never going to be visible in a healthy manner. Their fruits will never be visible in a healthy manner. And when they do put the fruit down that looks really good, it's like those commercials. You know how they dress the fruit up and they put makeup on it and make it look a lot better than what it is to entice you to buy it and to want it? That's what they are doing. It's no reason why anybody would come into our lives, especially if you vibrating and putting the information out like I do, to come into my life and still have a bunch of witchy ass excuses, or to try to point the finger at somebody who's extremely self-aware on a day-to-day basis, to where sometimes I beat my own self down because I'm so fucking self-aware over a mistake that I just made that costed me 20 minutes of my day, and I could have fixed it or did something completely different. I don't know what's going on with this lighting, but this shit is weird. But this is the flow with them. And if you notice, when you deal with them, right, they don't really like calling or talking over the phone, you know, because for them, people can read their energy and their vibrations that way. But if they send you some shit via text message, you know, via text message cancels out all of the feelings and emotions. So you can send something and not mean and feel that easier than it is to say it over the phone, which is why I'm always like weirded out when, especially females, I'll figure, like, that's how I know this shit is weird. Like, females would rather spend more time texting than communicating through the phone. When I was growing up, females had more feelings, quote unquote, and emotions than men. Now this shit is the opposite. The shit is the fucking opposite. The shit is the fucking opposite. I got so many witches that want to text, but none of them has phone time. Getting availability from people is almost fucking impossible these days. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so many distractions, and then they got their own shit going on already as it is. You know what I'm saying? So when they're not focusing and doing what they're supposed to be doing, they want to enjoy themselves distracted, not really being in your energy or whatever energy fits them best. You know what I mean? But I realize, like, when I deal with a lot of the female witches in that department, they tend to always say, I can express myself better through a text message. And to me, I always thought about what makes you feel like you can express it more through text that cancels out all the meaning, opposed from doing it over the phone or in person, where it would have more meaning. Witches don't care about meaning. They don't care about meaning. They're so low on the empathy scale that you don't even have to worry about them having any feelings. You know, it's really, 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 really low. Really low. Really low. You'll see feelings when it's not their way or something that they want. You know what I'm saying? And when I engage with the males, it's all the same thing. Even trying to open up to get them to engage with something else outside of Jordans and buying their kids like the newest items and material things, like even asking them, how much time are you spending with them, you know, spiritually, emotionally? And it's like they want to cancel me out, but because of how I am and my energy is, they don't do it in a dickhead manner. They just do it in like a brush off, standoffish kind of way, as if, oh, I don't want to hear it, and then they compensate it with something else over top of it. And I'm like, it don't make no sense to me, because now you get to a space to where now you're the male father and your son is like, you have so many complaints about him at 18, 19 years old. It's like, nigga, that's your fault. If he's lazy, if he's locked into technology, nigga, that's your fault. You have a son. That's not a daughter. I have a daughter, so mine's is trickier. It's more complex. You have a son. Motherfucker, if you walking right, then you have him walk with you. He said he had a whole business, but he didn't get his son a position. He didn't even make him a fucking position. But you want to talk about running your son around to all these jobs and going here and all this other weird witchy shit. In my mind, like, if I'm gonna force my daughter to go to school, then I'm gonna force your ass to work this motherfucking, I don't want to call it a job. I want you to work this empire. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's a light position, you can still get in there and figure out where to work at. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be full on the way that I do it, the male does it, or the way that your daddy does it. You know what I'm saying? But you can still get in there. You find your space by helping others. I found what I love to do by helping others. That's how I found my space. You know what I'm saying? And it comes with a lot of other things that come with that, but you have to be mindful of the ones who's going to be constantly using these witchy tactics against you, as far as like communicating with you awkwardly, you know, through text, You know, me, I'm one of them people, you text me, I'm like, call me. Or I'll call you in a minute, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to sit around and do all that shit. And for the other ones who's always like, oh, well, I feel like you're always looking for something. Well, you're always doing some shit. So I'm always expecting some shit. It's not that I'm looking for it, it's just that I'm expecting it. Why would I sit my guard down so you can hit me with some weird shit? That don't make sense to me. When you say these things and do these tactics, it just reminds me to keep my guard up and to stay on point. It doesn't make me want to relax and to fall back and to kind of chill out. You're always looking for you. You're always looking. That's a subtle way of telling you to turn your sensories off so they can fuck you over. Because somebody said this to me in person, and then I left their space, and then they had the nerve to text me a bunch of shit. Why would you text me a bunch of shit knowing I'm not gonna read it? Why would you text me a bunch of shit that has only thing to do with sympathy and you just looking for some kind of pity party? Oh, well, I knew it was good enough. Oh, I knew it was that. Oh, well, you're always looking for something. Like, soon as they start pulling that sympathy party shit, I turn into the fucking Hulk. Because I already know this is the full out entity out here, and it's trying to pull all the empathy out of me. I don't know how to turn my empathy off. I'm not gonna turn it off. I can turn it low, I can turn it down, but I cannot turn it off. I understand that about me. And I'm not gonna sit around and try to put myself in some weird space trying to turn off. No, I'm gonna hawk up and I'm gonna address your ass and I'm gonna get the fuck away from you. Don't pull that weak ass sympathy, crying, look at me. I'm trying to draw as much emotion and energy as I can from you. As men, it's a lot trickier when you deal with women who do that shit. Now, women, if you got a man who doing it, you just look at him like he a pussy. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, tighten up. It's a little different. But for us men, when you have them in that position and in that space, you have to shut that shit down. Don't look at them, turn your back to them. You do it, and you can, not telling you to stop talking, because that's what I did when I was talking about me saying, I don't know what's going on with my energy. My shit shifted. I'm very vocal. It was like I went from talking for 30 minutes and then my energy shifted. And I was like, damn, what the fuck going on with me? Now I feel a little tired and drained. I'm just kind of leaning on my car like, damn, I gotta figure out what's up. And then they hit the, oh, I guess it's me. And everything just spirals into this fucking sympathy pity party. I don't want to hear that shit. What I do is I smush it and smother it in my spirit world. That's how I feel about that sympathy pity party shit. And then you send me messages. I delete the whole text call log. You know how they got your name? And you can swipe right and it says the red button delete. That's what I do. I don't care for saving no message thread. If you're gonna send me that shit, then that shit is removed. I don't want that shit sitting on my little robot. My phone is my little robot. That little robot stays with me until I go hit the trails and do certain things. But I know my little robot is with me. It is what it is, but I'm gonna be mindful of people who's constantly saying things like, oh, you're always looking for something to try to get me to put my guard down, because you're constantly doing ill intention and selfish shit. You're doing so much selfish shit in my space over and over and over again that I have no choice but to take it as ill intended. If you did something selfish in my space 1 or 2 times, 3 times, and it's sporadically spread out throughout the year, cool. But when you doing it consecutively over and over and over and over and over again, and it's repetitively, no, you're doing this shit with ill intentions, and you're a liar, and you're gonna take that shit to your grave. You have to remember that these motherfuckers is pathological liars. They'll wake up in the morning and tell you take a shit. They told you, oh yeah, I took a shit today when I woke up. And they really didn't even use the fucking bathroom. I had one person tell me, oh yeah, well, I see you ate breakfast already today. I was like, bitch, I didn't eat. I did, but they tried to tell me they saw I eat breakfast on my Instagram. I was like, bitch, no, I didn't. That food that you saw on my Instagram was from yesterday. So in order for you to see that, that means you was on my Instagram story yesterday, not today. If you saw it today, it was weird, because I had a buddy, a new follower of mine, he had liked one of my stories 41 minutes ago, and you know the way Instagram is set up, this motherfucker was way after the other person's viewing. So clearly you saw it before this person saw it, and his name was on my food way up here and your name was on the food way down here, and I had a couple other posts afterwards. But they're so disgusting, and they're gonna lie and take that shit to their grave. They made it their point to create that story and then to try to create more friction with it, just because they know I'm gonna be like, yo, no you didn't, you had to seen it last night. All to get your energy flowing. I got energy to give, so like I tell you all the time, I got that shit to give. I don't mind giving you a certain portion of it, but when I decide to pull it back, I'm going to pull it back, because I'm very aware and I am very mindful, and I've been doing this shit and mastering and perfecting my energy for a long time. That's what the fuck I do. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to run it up too long. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just be mindful of the enemy tactics. They're gonna pull sympathy and empathy from you every chance they get. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna most likely try to text you over phone calls and FaceTimes. I always try to FaceTime, but a voice call would do better over a fucking text message. You gotta get their motherfucking face on there and their energy. You have to get them if you don't know if it's a witchy witch. But these are things that you can pay attention to and do to figure out if it's a witchy witch. You wanna know what's going on before they crash you out, because they're already crashing themselves out. They're just trying to see who else they can pull with them on the way out. You know what I'm saying? But tapping everything down below. Shout out to Kame. Peace and love to the kings and queens.